Hey everybody, welcome to Masters Fantasy presentation of our Dynasty Spotlight Series. I'm one of the commissioners here at Masters Fantasy Leagues, joined by two of our draft coordinators, Dynasty Al, the Doc. What's up, guys?
How we doing? How's it going?
Real good. Before we jump into this, just want to take 1 second. If you could, hit that subscribe button and the like button. We'd love to have you come be a part of the Masters family with us. Also, in case you didn't know, we do have over 600 Dynasty Leagues here at Masters. Never folded a single one. I think that's a huge stat to throw out there. If you want to be in a Dynasty League for, forever, this is the place to come play.
It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's jump right into it. Today's prospect we're doing is Najee Harris, Alabama running back. And the first question I'm going to ask you guys is how good of a prospect is Najee Harris? And what current or old school player would you compare him to?
So I think Najee Harris, I mean, there's a lot of people that think he's even a little better than Travis Etienne as a prospect. I mean, I don't think he has that fifth gear that Etienne has, but I mean, he can do just about everything else. I mean, he's a big athlete. He's got great size. He's got pretty decent speed for a guy that big. Obviously runs well through contact. And what I like, too, is that they've used him a lot in the passing game this year. He's shown his chops as a receiver. He can do a lot after the catch as well, whether that be with agile moves or just steamrolling guys. I mean, he can really do it all. And, I mean, as a Dynasty fantasy football player, I'm really excited about his prospects to be just a big name in fantasy for years to come. And this isn't mine, I don't even remember where I saw this, but I saw some guy on Twitter say he kind of reminds him of Matt Forte. So, just kind of a bigger body guy, not necessarily elite speed, but he can do pretty much anything you ask of him. And we all know Matt Forte was a legit fantasy running back for many years. I can see Najee Harris being the same thing. I really like him as a prospect, guys.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Doc said it all right there, but honestly, I even have a little more love for him. The Doc mentioned he still thinks maybe Etienne's that number one guy for him because of that fifth gear that Etienne has, but if I was an NFL GM, I'd feel more comfortable about drafting Najee Harris before Etienne, just because, the size and durability, 6'2", 220, just seems like he can be an every down bell cow, where Etienne definitely could develop into that, but I worry a little bit just with longevity. For fantasy purposes, though, Etienne will still have that, home run hitting upside, but I love Najee Harris. So my pro player comp for him, I see a bigger guy who might not have that great, straight end, long run speed, but really shifty, great in the passing game. I kind of like Le'Veon Bell, And then also David Montgomery was kind of another one I thought of in a good way. I know David Montgomery's kind of been,
he's been better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he's had an up and down start to his young career, but I think he's got all the positive qualities that David Montgomery has and even more. But yeah, I kind of like a vintage Le'Veon Bell for Najee Harris.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm actually shocked that neither one of you. I just knew for sure you both were going to pick Derrick Henry.
So I thought about that too, but
because that was really close.
Yeah, and that was in terms of size, like kind of who I ended with the Alabama. But I think what really separates Najee, not saying he's gonna be better than Derrick Henry, but I feel like he's more agile and way better as a receiver. Now, obviously, he's not quite the freight train that Derrick Henry is, but a little different, but very similar sizes and.
Right. I think as a prospect, he's a little more complete at this point than Henry was.
Yeah. What shocks me, it gets me really excited to think of a guy Derrick Henry size who can catch the ball too. That's a guy I want on my fantasy team for sure. Good stuff, guys. Going to move on here to the next question, and it's going to be possible NFL destinations. What teams you guys think you could draft them, and who do you think would be the best fit for them? And what team excites you the most?
So honestly, I think he will really do well just about anywhere because he does have a pretty complete skill set. But kind of going with my pro player comp, I feel like Pittsburgh could, if Pittsburgh could get back to how they used to use Le'Veon, what they're kind of trying to do with James Conner just hasn't really worked out. But I feel like he could be a bad man in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was thinking Pittsburgh too, and then also thinking of Pittsburgh, I thought of the Jets. I don't know that Najee would last to the second round. But I think it'd be, now the Jets may have ruined their shot at Trevor Lawrence, but it would be a nice weapon to pair with your number one quarterback going into the future since, right now they have Frank Gore toting like 20 carries a game, and that's not sustainable. So I think that'd be a good spot for him, though, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I just looked up a mock draft before we got here. I actually had him, in the mock draft, they had him going early, round 2 to Miami, another spot I really like too.
Yeah.
And then just trying to think, a rookie quarterback, rookie running back. Do you guys think of any other great combinations that were both rookies? Not to throw that at you, but.
Well, I mean, quarterback, running back, I can't really, but I mean, I think of like Burrow and T. Higgins this year.
That's a good one.
What about Dak and Zeke back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff, guys. All right, going to move on to I think the most important question of all. I'm going to talk a little bit of draft stock with him. Upcoming Dynasty rookie drafts. Trying to think of like the best and worst case scenario for where you could see him going. Perhaps if he ends up in Miami or Pittsburgh, maybe you consider him at the 1.1.
Yeah, so it's really tough because I think on the ETN show I threw 1.1 for ETN ceiling, and I kind of just said I like Najee better. I don't know if I could see him getting all the way to 1.1, but I view him as like a really good safe prospect, like early to mid first. I don't know if there's a spot where I'm like, oh, he's a surefire 1.1 there, but yeah, early to mid first is my range, I'd say.
Yeah, and I agree with that completely. And actually, he took the words right out of my mouth. I think he's very safe. I think he's going to be just a solid player, and he's got really high upside as well. Whereas ETN, he's got maybe a higher ceiling, but the floor a little lower. But I love Najee Harris, and I think Al hit it right on the head. Good
stuff, guys. Off the cuff, too, was just sitting here thinking, one thing it sounds like I might like about Najee Harris is he sounds like a guy could be a 3-down back. Yeah. He's not going to be a guy that gets taken out within the 5-yard line. I mean, he's 6'2", 229 pounds, shifty. He can also catch the ball. Actually, I really, really like that about him.
He's like got a perfect running back profile.
Absolutely.
Right, good stuff. And I mean, for me, if he goes to Miami or Pittsburgh, I think 1.1 for me, baby. Yeah. Good stuff. I'll have to see a lot of good prospects out there. Right. All right, and this next question, I think we know the answer to. It's kind of like a dynasty football outlook. Do you guys think this is still a guy we'll definitely be talking about 3 to 5 years still as fantasy football relevant?
I definitely think so, but with that in mind, running backs have a shorter longevity, especially if he's a guy who his rookie year can get 300 carries. I think he'll definitely be relevant, but maybe his best years will be his first 3. I don't know.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I like that idea too, just because since he can do so much, I feel like if he goes to a place like Pittsburgh where he would be the guy, or Miami, I think he could see a lot of touches his first few seasons, and then from there, I think Alec makes a good point. It might be the best years we see out of him.
All right, good stuff. Then the last question, I actually just made this up on the way in, so bear with me here. I was trying to think of, Najee Harris based on his talent alone. Like, what running back would you trade him for that's currently in the NFL? Like
for fantasy purposes?
For fantasy purposes.
I like that
even
much
know where he's going.
So we've already said his name once, especially because he's been hot the last few weeks. But if I could turn David Montgomery in for Najee Harris right now, I think I would do that.
You do it without even knowing where he's going?
I think so. I'd want David Montgomery for these Week 16 championships, but first thing in the offseason, maybe do it.
Another guy's going to be shooting up draft boards. We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anybody come to mind?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm thinking like guys like David Johnson, but it's kind of obvious. I don't know if I'd give like a big name yet. I don't know where that cutoff is.
I got like
David Montgomery's a good one.
What about like a rookie this year, like Cam Akers, who's been like kind of a hit but not a surefire?
Right now, would you take Cam Akers?
I think I would just because I like Najee better as a prospect. But I mean, I like what Akers has done.
Yeah.
I watched that Rams game too. Yeah. And he had like 2 or 3 touchdown runs get called back. Yeah. So I mean, he looks good.
Yeah.
But I think I'll take Najee.
All right, good stuff today, guys. That's going to wrap up this edition of our Dynasty Spotlight. We have a few posted that we've done. Please check those out. We're getting ready to do Rondell Moore next. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, good shot.